afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TraderMerlin Show for your Monday, the 22nd of July. An interesting day. We talked a couple days ago, or last week, about how the likelihood of President Biden stepping down was probably getting pretty good. Somebody asked me on Friday's show, what's the probability? I think I said it's going to be a pretty good probability to happen this weekend. Now, before I get into this, let me make something pretty clear here. I received an email over the weekend that accused me of being too political, calling this show Trader Trump, and that I was being very biased, and I don't want to polarize the audience. I'm hoping that that is a very isolated opinion, because I think I try to make my stance very clear here on this program. This is not a political show. This is really, the show should have nothing to do with politics. Who cares what happens in politics? However, as a trader, it is of utmost importance to me to understand what's going on that landscape of politics, whether it's, a landslide victory for one party or a contentious debate between the two of them. All of those things create volatility in the marketplace. And by identifying which of these candidates might be lining up to take office and control an administration, that's huge profit potential for me, and losses if I'm on the wrong side of it. So I'm really hoping that most of you don't feel that way. And by the way, to call this show Trader Trump is just insulting to me. I think I made my position pretty clearly. I thought with both of these candidates, we had poor choices. We can do so much better across the board. So let's start with that. Just want you guys to know that I'm not trying to sway anybody's political opinions. I'm not trying to sway your vote here. All I care is that you go out and you vote. That's the important part for who you think is going to do the best job. Now, let's go to this one. So we talked about how really bad President Biden's debate was. I mean, it was kind of like, oh boy, you felt really bad for the guy, watching him kind of just lose his faculties and not really know where he's at. Well, if you look at the Biden bows out, I think he did the right thing. I think most people would agree that while he may have some great views and he's maybe a great guy and may have done well for the country, going forward, you need to have all your faculties about you. And stepping down, I think, was probably the right thing to do. Now, for us, what does this mean? Well, I'll tell you, because Larry and I love to do this every year, what I typically do is I try to do a show that has one column that says Democrat, one column that says Republican. And on that list, we try to isolate, if Trump is the candidate, what is he saying on his campaign trail, right? What are his key points that he says, I'm going to do this, 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 and this? And then from that, I step back and I say, all right, well, if he says he's going to build an infrastructure bill or open up coal mines and repeal laws on coal, then I might start looking for coal manufacturers or buy the ETF coal. And the reason for that is I think that there's going to be more money flowing into those segments. And I'll do the same thing for the Democrats. So when the election finally does come and whoever wins, fine, we'll move forward either way. Whether I love it or I hate the result does not matter. I can now position myself with either of those two candidate parties, right? And, some people complain for the entire 4-year process, how they hate this president or hate that president. Whatever. Get over it, people. You got other things to worry about with your time. Just figure out how you can capitalize on it and make the most of that administration, whatever it is. So this changes things. I had already started working out tables of Trump and Biden, kind of side by side, kind of which one might be, where might be the benefits for this one and this one. Well, now it kind of changes. And it's interesting because it changes, but just a little bit. So let's go off the assumption that Kamala Harris will take over. Most likely she's going to follow pretty much the same game plan. So I don't think that too much changes there with regards to specific policies. We'll probably continue to get, paying down a student loan. We'll get climate issues. We have some spending going on, but I don't think the change will be too dramatic. Now, again, we don't know exactly 100% who it's going to be. Maybe it's Gavin Newsom, which really would throw a whole nother wrench in the works. So we got to kind of reevaluate it. So I think that the decision to step out further bolsters the argument that I said on January 1st on the show, which is this is going to be a very volatile year. I was really surprised to see the way the markets operated. It's not really surprised. Only thing that surprised me was really the choppiness that happened, which was great for me. I had a great trading day, shorting the markets on a nice double top formation on the S&P. Turned out to be fantastic. So again, I wanted to do two things there. Number one, kind of dispel any belief system that I'm a Trumper or any belief system that I'm a Bidener, whatever the case may be. I'm neither of the two. I am absolutely neither of the two. When it comes time to vote, I will force a decision one way or another, and I'm probably not going to tell anybody here who that's going to be because it's not my job to sway you. It's my job to help you understand what these presidents may do to your administration, your 401k, and the growth of your accounts over time. That is all that is important. So don't put a flag over my head and say he's this or that. I would argue I'm middle of the ground, middle of the road, either way. All right, what did I get? Did I ruffle some feathers? But some of the, you're not political, some of the attendees, I know. And I try to steer it away. I didn't, honestly, I was really reconsidering not doing this thumbnail. Biden bows out. But would I be a responsible trader, investor, I guess financial pundit if I didn't address this issue? This is a big thing. You had kind of these two main parties going at it, and all of a sudden one could completely change, right? That's like, did anybody watch the Jake Paul? I don't even know who he fought, but it was Jake Paul fighting somebody else. He was supposed to fight Mike Tyson, right? Everybody watch that? Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, I wanted to watch it because in that one, I do have a dog in that fight. I strongly dislike Jake Paul. I think he's a punk. I hope he gets knocked out. However, when Mike Tyson bowed out, everything changed and they brought in this other guy. If anybody watched that fight, it was pretty bad. It was really embarrassing, and it was a rigged fight. If you watch that fight between Jake Paul and whoever he fought that replaced Mike Tyson, Jake Paul kept ducking, and all this guy had to do was throw an uppercut. There's no way a professional fighter would not have seen that coming because Jake Paul did it like 6 times. Well, that's pretty much what we have kind of going on with this presidential election. You had Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Figure out which party you wanted. Right? It doesn't matter. But one of the contenders backed out, and all of a sudden, you have to reevaluate everything. Now, the good news for anybody who thinks that Kamala Harris is going to take over is it's pretty much, I'm pretty sure she's going to follow the same policy as Biden. She's been working with the same advisors that Biden has, so I don't expect any change there. But what if it does switch? What if all of a sudden it's Gavin Newsom takes the lead and Kamala Harris is now the VP running mate? You know, that would create all kinds of issues. What if all of a sudden the Democrats decide to bring in RFK, which they've been totally against him, but now I'm hearing talks that they may be in discussion with RFK Jr. to come in and take over. I mean, that would be huge volatility for this market. And if you look here, this is the S&P 500 on a 5-minute chart today. Look at that swing. This is fantastic. I mean, the only thing I caught was this little double top right here. Actually turned into a triple top. I caught a fairly nice swing down. Great. Let it give me a few points here and there. It's fine. It's all I need to make myself a nice day. That was pretty much it. The picture should be showing Biden. That's a great question. Andre says, is the picture showing Biden or Jerome Powell? Jerome Powell did not step down. This is, I said, give me an old man in front of a podium, stepping down from a podium, facing a wall of financial information, and I said, be patriotic. So it put an American flag, but nothing would give me what President Biden's hair looked like. It didn't show up, unfortunately. Another Kennedy president would be amazing. Well, Margaret, that's again, there's some people that think he's a whack job, total crackpot, and that he'd be horrible, and ultimately, that's for you, each individual to decide who's going to be the best. Bottom line is when we get towards that November date, we will do a show as objective as I can. I'm not going to put my personal feelings into this at all. It's just, this is what they stand for. Here's how it could create opportunity for you. And I'll go to the other side and do the exact same thing. And the good part is Larry Jacobson is going to do that with me. So you'll kind of get, a give and take here and there, and maybe Larry has some different perspectives, but Larry's kind of the same boat as me. It's like, we do have, I'm sure deep down we'd probably like for one candidate over the other. I mean, you can't have them equally voted for, but ultimately it just doesn't matter, right? We're all going to go to work the next day. We're all going to go collect our checks and whatever, live our lives. It's just, how does that country get steered and how can you position yourself? That's really all that matters. All right, sorry. Merlin, not red or blue, but green is, yeah, I like that. I do. Well, see, Big Eb, I can't even say that because if I was to say I'm the Green Party, well, then there is a Green Party, and that would associate myself with a political party. So that's definitely not going to happen. Ricardo says, amen, we will just vote. 100%, And, in part of this process, I think part of the American process, at least I hope it is and this is where I'm going to grandstand and soapbox. I wish that we could get back to the point that if you, let's say Thomasina and Big Eb and Andres and we're all out having a drink, and I know some of you have your political sides and you're very strongly on that, and that's great, totally fine with me. But if I'm on the opposite side of you, don't hate a person for that. Let's be human beings here and understand we can all have differences of opinions. And if I say something you don't agree with, let's have an open discussion about it, but don't hate someone because they posted something on social media that they like a candidate. I mean, that to me is just idiocracy at the highest level. We're all on a spinning marble going through space, the only one of its kind out of trillions of spaces, and you're going to be pissed off because someone doesn't agree with you politically? Give it up. Let's move on. Okay. How about the Greenback Party? Now, that one, Lori, I would stand by. Let's start the Greenback Party. I think the expectation would be, though, that we're going to do nothing but make ourselves money. And that, to me, that's not what the president should be about. It should be about making this place better. I know you're respectful, Thomasina. That's why we get along. Let's see. There's a lot of trader channels out there if they don't like you. Yeah, I agree. No, that's true. Wouldn't be the Purple Party. Well, I wouldn't do the Pink Party or the Light Green or Light Blue Party because I'm colorblind. So let's leave it at that. All right, so let's walk through a little bit of what happened today. Let me bring up some markets here. We'll run through our top 10. I mentioned last week that there's definitely some changes going to be coming for me that may impact my schedule. Give me another couple weeks to figure out kind of what's going on. There's really a lot happening in my personal world. I will be taking a vacation in a week or so. I will be going over to Ireland. So actually, that's going to be July 31st. Let me make sure I got this right. July 31st through August 8th. I will be gone. I will be in Ireland, driving around, enjoying the countryside, and having a lot of whiskey and visiting Guinness and etc. So I will be gone the week of the 31st of July to August 8th. That's the first piece of news. After I come back from there, I should have a much greater idea of how things stand for me, what I'll be doing, where I'm at, and etc. So there might be, I'll be making some announcements most likely then. But until then, most things will stay the same here, at least for this show. So there we go. Shinobi Brian, this is really true regarding crypto. What did Shinobi say? Where did Shinobi go? We have a Green Party here in the UK. That you do. We have one here in the US too. We have a Green Party here, but they just never really do too much here. All right, let's start at our bottom, work our way to the top. Let's go and change that bad book because I didn't adjust it. I'm going to work from the bottom here, work our way to the top. So we had this kind of red or this yellow demand zone, and I kind of expected price to be bouncing back and forth on this crude oil, and then all of a sudden it started to break down. Now I'm a little concerned because I sold a bunch of puts on XLE last month. Fortunately for me, those have expired worthless, so we may revisit that, and I may sell some puts again because if you notice here, where are we coming into? Well, we're coming into this area of consolidation. I'm just going to move this one down. Let's get rid of these bad boys. Boom, boom. All right, so if you notice, we have this area of consolidation. Now, this is kind of a wide zone, so this is not going to be your typical demand zone. However, you can kind of get the gist of it that within this, and I could break it down more detailed, but with this area, I kind of expect there to be a bounce at this level that we're at right now. And we've got one that's even lower, which is a better one in my opinion because of the strength and magnitude out of that. So I've kind of got two little zones here on crude oil, which may impact my decision to sell some puts on XLE or maybe even short it down to that lower level if we break this low price on crude oil, which is 77.22. After that, I think we're going to drop down to about 75.67. So we got about $1.20 on crude oil, which isn't a ton. It's almost 2%, but still enough there for an opportunity for a short trade. But more likely, I'll be looking for the long bounce off of those demand zones, whether it's that one that we're in now or this lower one. So while it looks negative right now, all in all, I kind of feel like it's just going to start consolidating and going sideways. Right? We've had these long swings up. And I wonder if this is actually going to work from a Fibonacci perspective. I've not looked at this, but a lot of times when you pull a fib from there, no, it doesn't move up. Sometimes you'll see them lining up on specific numbers. So we had this giant fall back from September of 2023 all the way down to the lows in December. Big move. And then it rallied but didn't make the previous high. Then it sold off, didn't make the previous low. Then it rallied, didn't make the previous high. So what you have here is almost a triangle formation. I know that it's not going to be perfect, but let's just give you the general idea of what we're looking at. If I go through the peaks, that's a pretty solid trend line. It's actually hit that 3 times and respecting it. Now, if I go through the bottom, it does not respect them, but you can see that I have a similar looking picture here. So if I do see crude oil continue to sell off, which kind of feels like it's going to, then I have a couple different target points here for potential bounces to the upside, which might give you some long opportunities. And again, that's where I'll be looking to sell puts on XLE or maybe some oil derivatives. So that was your worst performer, down 0.31%. You had gold Look at the nice sell-off here in gold. We had that bull trap we talked about on Friday's show. Extreme negative candle on Friday. Today, started off a little bit weaker. Ended the day on a weak note, down 0.18%. I was actually looking at SLV today to potentially sell some more puts on SLV, but I just don't find a level I like. I thought maybe doing the 26s, but I'm going to wait until I get it even cheaper. We may see this thing break even more if inflation numbers keep coming out better and better. And that may happen very soon because we have some PPI numbers coming out, or core PEC price index numbers coming out soon. Dollar index. Nothing really exciting here with the dollar index. We started this bounce last Thursday. Not really getting much follow through today. We were down 0.07% for that dollar index. So that's nothing really special there. If we zoom out and look at the picture here, I don't see any real clear direction. So I would argue that this is probably going to start to consolidate and get more compressed until we finally get a big breakout of this sideways action. And then the most important one for Big Ev and I is the 10-year. We still have this recurring debate. We've got a 25 basis point difference between a beer or no beer. Right now, you're at 4.254 on the yield for that 10-year. The downtrend starting back in April of this year looks great. You're making lower lows and lower highs. So for anybody that's a trend follower, this does speak volumes to yield continuing to go lower, which of course would maybe get us down to that 4% line, which would make Big Eb very, very happy. Because then he could gloat publicly that he beat me in a wager. Probably not going to happen, Big Eb, just saying, but you never know. Anyway, there's your general gist of how this channel might be looking. I could use a tool to make these perfectly parallel, but it's never going to be perfectly parallel. It's just really what the trend is showing you. And again, my mantra has always been, the trend is your friend till the bend at the end. And right now, if we look at the trend just for this picture here, that's about as clear as you can get of a downtrend. All right, constantly making new lows, lower highs, lower highs, lower lows. Great. So right now, if you were to take the wager, Big Eb probably would be a slight favorite in the probability of the rates getting down below 4% by December. And yes, we did put a vertical line on here. Oh, I thought we did. Let's put that back. So I know where the finish line is. So when I run through this finish line in December with my arms out like this, I'm going to get the camera back on. I can spread my arms out like this and just be victorious as I break through that little banner coming in first place. And Big Eb behind me there in second. There will always be a beer. It just depends on true, Lori. And for those who don't drink, I will wager you as well. It can be a non-alcoholic beer as well. I'm happy to wager a Coca-Cola if you like, or tap water if you're poor. It's all about the fun of having some skin in the game. That's one of my favorite parts of it. So anyway, 10-year, not really much to speak of today, but I do like this downtrend. It feels like it's continuing to get stronger and stronger and stronger. So, right now I think Big Eb has the odds-on favorite by December, but I'm not giving up, Big Eb. I'm still hanging in there. I think we'll bounce back up. All right, now, trades that were made today. Just S&P for me. I wanted to wait for that opening kind of unpredictable moment, that opening 15 minutes of the day, do an opening range breakout. Well, you saw we had this level mapped out, and we said, if there's a bounce happening, probably going to happen pretty soon, maybe Monday, and lo and behold, we got a nice rally to the upside today. Well, if you watch the opening 15, you had quite a bit of price fluctuation, so there's the market open at 630, so we went 20, but there's your 5, 10, 15, 20. After that thing started to sell off, I wanted to short it because I kind of felt you'd see some selling coming in. It didn't, and then as it bounced back up, went short at that 56.08 mark, and did great. Talk about a really short-term trade. Typically, my trades are going to last me longer than 30, 40 minutes, and that's all these ones lasted. It was like 20 minutes on these trades, and that was just about it today. So very happy with the way that one turned out. But when we look at the numbers on it and kind of what it means for the market overall for tomorrow, well, this does lead me to believe that we're going to get more follow through to the upside tomorrow. Just the way we finished, right? You guys can see right there, we finished right near the high of the day. So if you're looking at the S&P futures, your high was 5,616, and we closed at 5,610. So we're just 6 points off the high there. Momentum looked pretty good. So all in all, I would lead me to believe we're going to see more upside move for tomorrow, but we'll have to wait and see how that one pans out. Getting into Bitcoin, B to the T to the C. You have what's called a hanging man. Now, there's a couple different pieces here. Let me see if I can find this one for you real quick. Let me bring up, I normally don't bring up my Twitter page. Of course, you guys can follow me on Twitter, but I never use it, so not much advantage for you there. If I did post stuff on Twitter, what would you guys like to see? I'm curious. Talking to some friends of mine, one thing that I have to do if I expect to grow the show and maybe even get to the point where this is all I do and I earn an income from this, which would be fantastic, I'd have to grow this user base significantly to get to that point. I'm not there even close to it yet. So what would you guys want me to, if you followed me on Twitter, what type of things would you like me to post about, to talk about, which would encourage you to engage with me more on that platform? That said, I want you to look at Elon Musk here. Look what Elon Musk did over the weekend. This is interesting. Before I get there, how many of you know what laser eyes are? Laser eyes are typically for crypto people, enthusiasts. I have had laser eyes on mine back in 2017. Excuse me. Laser eyes basically mean that you're laser focused on crypto, that's it. Well, look what Elon Musk did over the weekend. Here's his profile on Twitter. He has blue laser eyes. I don't know exactly what this means, but if Elon Musk is putting laser eyes on his picture, that tells me something's going to be going on with crypto. Now, what does that mean? That means that he's going to start buying some more Bitcoin. It means he's going to incorporate Dogecoin with Twitter or X. Does he start bringing multiple cryptocurrencies? Does he start his own payment financial network using digital assets? I don't know, but that is a very positive piece for me. So I'm just telling you that when Elon Musk puts laser eyes, I think that's bullish for crypto. Okay, so Brian Shinobi says, you're always posting on X. I'm really not. I usually just post who the guests are, and then I just kind of stop doing that. But I don't really know what to put. I mean, I'm a trader at heart, so I don't know. I'm not really sure what to post there. I'm going to read through all this later on and get you guys to let me know what I should be posting on Twitter that would encourage engagement. So anyway, that's the laser eyes piece of this, and I put that on there because crypto had a decent time over the weekend. Now, the pattern that's formed on Bitcoin right now is what is called a hanging man. According to Steve Nissen, who is the king of Japanese candlesticks, he wrote the book on it, literally wrote the books on candlesticks, which I would encourage you not to pay for. You can go to Google, type in Steve Nissen candlesticks.pdf, and you can find them, download them there for free. Those books are extremely overpriced for what they are. If you really want a quick rundown of Japanese candlesticks, you can go to Trading Academy YouTube page. I have a video there, which I may show link to it eventually. But I did a candlestick webinar for Trading Academy like 5-6 years ago, and it's pretty good. I may redo it. That was a live one we did as part of the webinar series, but good candlestick one there. Okay. So Steve Nissen says that this candle right here is what's called a hanging man, and he says it is a reversal pattern. And I shake my head and go, no, that's not a reversal pattern in my opinion. Remember what these candlesticks show you. They show you a small window of time. It's a battle between buyers and sellers. And let me, I'm going to have to go to my drawing pad over here, so hold on a second as I get some things situated. That's the Biden one. We'll put a new slide in. Okay. So here, let me real quickly do a quick little graphical thing. I just know most of you know this because you followed me long enough, but let me, let's get out of there. There we go. So when you have price moving up, all right, there's your uptrend. And then you have a candle that looks like this, which is what we see on Bitcoin. All right. So yeah, I'm with exactly, Steve. That's my point. I'm like, what? There's no way. Okay. If you look at and let's say this is red. So put a little R right there for red. What that tells me is at some point it opened up here. It sold off all the way down to here. So at one point, this was a gigantic red candle from there to there, which is incredibly bearish, particularly at the top of an uptrend. But then what happened is the sellers came back in and pushed it all the way back so it closed right there. Now, what does that look like? That means that the buyers were in control. Ooh, damn it. Hold on. That means that the buyers came in and gobbled this up and pushed it, forced it higher and closed it near the top. That's actually very bullish because if we look at momentum, right, the trend is your friend to the bend at the end, or the momentum movement of price charts, this is bullish for me. One way you could look at it is almost the same way I do a shooting star. Like if we open up down below this horizontal red line I'm drawing and we break above it, that could be a pretty bullish move for you tomorrow, right? That is a very positive sign in my book. But according to Steve Nissen, who wrote the book on Japanese candlesticks, that is a bearish indicator. I don't think so. At one point it was bearish today, but this actually tells me nice up move. Now the question I guess you're all asking is, Well, where's it going to go from here? Well, it's pretty easy because there aren't any great supply zones here. You're basically going to go back to this most previous pivot swing, which is right here. I'll get you the numbers here, right around 72,455, which would be great. And all of a sudden, that puts pressure on that all-time high. Oh, man, I'm telling you, going into the election, having candidates that might be very pro-Bitcoin, Elon Musk putting laser eyes on his page, and as Michael says, Germany was selling their Bitcoin. They sold all their Bitcoin, right? They sold all of it. Honestly, that's a stupid move. I'm kind of embarrassed for the Germans. You had it sitting there. Just keep it. All you did was keep it on your books. It would have been fine. But now they sold it, and the market absorbed all of that Bitcoin. So they sold a lot, and the market absorbed that sell-off. There's your, the impacts of some of that selling right here. Now that Bitcoin's out, it's all distributed. So what else is going to push Bitcoin down? That was one factor. Also, the Mt. Gox piece I was looking at is a potential selling pressure piece, and it did sell off for a little bit, but then it's been rallying ever since. So this is shaping up to be a very potential bullish move for Bitcoin. Just remember, you've got some overhead supply here, and maybe we'll get some clarity on the next couple days or weeks about what Elon Musk is laser eyeing about, because why would you change your picture to laser eyes? It was kind of a 2017 thing. Shinobi said Solana back under 180, which is not doing my long any good. Well, I mean, I'm long-term very bullish on Solana, so I'm not worried about that one at all. Solana's doing some great things right now. Wait, it's not doing any good for your long position? You wait a minute. It should be good. What do you mean? If you're long, this is great for your position. Maybe I read that wrong. Hold on. Solana back under 180. Which is not doing my long any good, unless you just bought it. But remember, if you're looking at this right now, you came onto an overhead supply zone right around 186, or maybe a little bit lower than that if we could break this candle up through the 20th of May to the 21st of May. You kind of have this small little turnaround on Solana. Well, that would be my logical target for this as a potential short opportunity right now, and seeing that one just go down just a little bit. But I'm long-term very bullish on Solana. They fixed a lot of their problems. They're gaining more acceptance. They're becoming more decentralized, and they're getting more people using their platform. So I think Solana's doing pretty darn good. Even though we get these percentage moves are stomach turning for anybody here who might be new. I mean, I'll sort them from gainer to loser. Your biggest loser on my list right now is Arweave down 7.6. You got LivePeer down 6%. That's tough for a lot of people to deal with. Of course, Ripple was up 0.26%. I'm not a big fan of Ripple anyway. All right, let me scroll back through here because I saw a lot of questions come in, and I want to make sure I get those ones because I've been asking you for feedback on things. Shinobi's got laser eyes. Yes, you do. I know he is supporting. Well, this is an interesting one as well, Oliver, because when Elon Musk came out, and again, this is why you don't talk politics. I would never say I'm supporting XYZ candidate. I just don't think that's right. When Elon Musk said he is supporting Trump's campaign, a lot of the Democrats said, we're not buying Teslas. I mean, immediately you get that stupid, simple knee-jerk reaction by polarizing yourself like that. But, maybe Biden, or maybe Elon Musk was funding Trump because he kind of knew Biden wouldn't have done well as a presidential candidate. But now does that change Elon Musk's stance? Like all of a sudden, does he stop funding Trump and say, hey, maybe I'll support Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris or someone else? I don't know. That was interesting, though, seeing him $45 million worth of support for President Trump. And again, I don't think you should make those things public. You should keep them quiet. Promote my YouTube show. I do, Chio, but not too much. Encourage engagement. Okay, it's like surveys and things. All right, mention my future topics. All right. Usually, here's the thing. Usually my topics for the show, I'll finish trading and I'll go look and see what do you guys ask questions about that morning. So I don't have a long time to produce these shows, which you guys have noticed. There's sometimes I come in and like things aren't quite set up properly because I'm just dang busy. It could not break the high. Well, it didn't yet. During the uptrend, there was finally some sign of sellers finally showed themselves the first time. Are you talking about with Bitcoin? Right. I think that's what that kind of represents. And if you look at this daily time frame here, it really is not much of a negative pattern. See, this is why when you're tracking Bitcoin or other crypto assets, you shouldn't use futures. So when I look at the futures, you got this giant hanging man, right? But that's because futures markets are closed over the weekend. Whereas this market right here for Bitcoin BTC.USD, this is a 24/7, 365 market that doesn't stop at all. So that has a different picture. There is no real, I guess you could call this a little hanging man, but that's no big deal. I would just move on from that and not worry about. But I know the book, so no, Steve, you know a lot. And I think a lot of, trading is just about being realistic and saying, what's happening with price? As simple as that. What's happening with price? And if we showed that, Bitcoin price chart, if all we had was the futures, then yeah, I would say we're going higher. Okay, during the uptrend, there was fun. I got that one already. No short-term trade. I entered a bit lower. Okay, got it. Tom says laser eyes means sort of superhero something. Biden's campaign gave old Joe laser eyes. Okay. Yeah, because it couldn't have been for crypto because he wasn't very pro-crypto. Merlin, when am I going to doing a class on ETFs? We could do it. Sure. ETFs. I'll do that. That's an easy topic. And one I love. I think if you're not using ETFs, if you're using mutual funds, you're throwing money out the window. ETFs are really one of the best tools for investors to come along in my lifetime. I think they're fantastic, particularly for those of you that are looking at 401ks, retirement accounts, long-term, and trying to diversify your risk. Man, ETFs are just the way to go. Let's see. Laser eyes for Tesla earnings. You know what, Mr. Live? That could be. Remember, we do have earnings coming out. That's going to be on Wednesday. Let me make sure. I was 99% sure, but I don't like to be 99. I like to be 100% sure. No, Tesla's tomorrow. So Tesla's going to be tomorrow after market close, and Google. I got the day shifted. So it's Google and Tesla tomorrow. That will be an interesting one. That will be our popcorn trade of the day, but unfortunately, I lost my popcorn graphic. It's on my hard drive that just crashed and I had no backup. So this should be a screen of popcorn trade right now, but it's nothing. All right, let's go and do a couple more listener questions here. Maybe ask questions on X about what people want to see on your show. Okay. Yeah, I think that some people just added me and don't follow because I just get sometimes discouraged because I don't get engagement, and maybe that's just part of it. Let's see. Steve says, funny, not both parties are against electric cars. Do you see Trump posting about Elon begging him for subsidies? Not now that he's getting money. I think Trump will probably back down his negativeness about Elon Musk and probably become a little more favorable to Elon Musk and different companies. And I don't think it's really going to be about subsidies for Teslas anymore. What I believe is, and you guys let me know what you think. I believe that part of this Elon Musk support for Trump was, and again, I'm not promoting Trump. Let's make that clear. But I think Elon Musk was saying, I'm going to give him $45 million and continue to contribute because he felt that Trump was going to win. And I do believe that if everything continued down the path that it was going, that Trump would have won. I just don't think Biden would have pulled it off. I think his faculties are dropping too quickly. So then what's he going to do? Elon Musk says, the biggest thing to happen to Tesla since the very beginning is the robotaxi part. So if I can get Trump maybe to give me some tax breaks on robotaxis, forget the cars, I don't worry about Tesla anymore. But if you can do some move through some regulatory approvals or give us some, competitive advantage in that space with the robotaxis, then to me that'd be worth $45 million contributions all day long because that could be hundreds of billions of dollars worth of money for Tesla down the road. So I think that whether he likes Trump or not, I think it was a strategic move on Elon Musk's part to say, okay, I think Trump's going to win it. Therefore, I want to make sure that I have some, I got some favors to ask. And I have my robotaxi meeting, which is supposed to be in August, and they moved it to October. So now we've moved that down a little bit. Maybe I can kind of solidify what is going to be done and maybe get some lobbying done. Yeah, I think personally that's what it is. I think that's the main piece there. But we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think it's the Tesla on subsidies anymore. He's already got it established. It's a pretty well-established car company. Now, granted, with some subsidies, it does make it more attractive, but I don't think that's the deal breaker. It's the new business areas that Elon Musk could be getting into that could really be, monopolized, whether that's robots, whether it's robotaxis, things like that. I think that's what it was all about. I have no problem with Elon doing whatever he wants. Yep, exactly. My only problem, Steve, is he has such clout amongst everybody in the world that there are people, I think you probably know some of them, that will refuse to educate themselves on both candidates. Most people will just say, hey, I was born whatever. I won't even say Democrat or Republican. I was born libertarian. I will always vote libertarian. I don't care what anybody else says. I'm not even going to read it, right? I think that's where we start to lose, I don't know what the right word for it is, but, we should always be educating ourselves on what both sides say. Because sometimes the side that you're always taught to support may not say the right things. And, I don't care what he does with the money either, but I'm a little bit worried that he now has created a huge surge for people going to vote for Trump just because Elon Musk did it. There are people that will just, whatever Musk does, that's what I'm doing. And I think that can sway an election, particularly when you look at someone like Musk who's got, hundreds of millions of followers on Twitter. I mean, I think he's the number one account. Let's see, he's got 190 million followers on Twitter. There you go. Candidate Day. Did you see the massive short on DJT? I did. All right, let's switch away from the politics stuff. Well, I guess it's going to be politics too. DJT, I forgot what it was, like 120,000 put options. Is that right, Tom? I think it was someone bought 120,000 put options, if I remember correctly, which would equate to 12 million shares of DJT short before the assassination. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but if you're the Secret Service, you want to know who did that. Who bought 120,000 puts of DJT before an assassination attempt? Like, that has got to be the most obvious, most conspicuous transaction of all time. Where did that transaction occur? Who was the person behind buying 120,000 puts on it? That's just crazy. Absolutely insane. I don't know why this is not a bigger headline, if it is in fact true. Yeah, 12 million shares? So let me just real quickly go out and look at some eco stuff. I don't have it right in front of me, so let me go DJT. I just want to see how many shares are outstanding, or how much float there is. Not even outstanding, but float. So we'll go to statistics here. So this individual shorted $12 million worth of shares. And look at the float was 55 million. Okay, so if the float's 55 million and someone shorted 12 million shares, where's my cursor? Hold on. Then that equates to a pretty high percent. Let's go 12.5 million, or let's go 12 million. And I'm going to divide that by 55 million. That's 22% of all the shares. 22% of all the shares were shorted in that one transaction. That is insane, and I don't know how that doesn't raise a red flag with anybody. Like, how, there was talk. There's conspiracy theorists out there for everything, and you try not to get wrapped up in it because a conspiracy theory will take you down a dark rabbit hole sometimes and make you look like an idiot. However, there was evidence of heavy shorting of airline stocks, like abnormally large shorting of airline stocks before 9/11. Where we should be going after any account that's shorted. If you shorted like 1,000 shares, I'm not worried about that. That could be me. That could be someone small. It could be just random happenstance. But if someone's shorting 100,000 shares of a stock right before airlines hit the World Trade Center and we go into that big crash, if I'm the SEC, those are the people I'm going after because they had something to do with it. And they did, in fact. A lot of it was Al-Qaeda accounts set up all over the world. But in an assassination attempt, that should be tracked. I mean, whoever that person was, not saying be brought to justice, but a thorough investigation should be done as to why someone would think shorting 20% of a company right before an assassination attempt occurred. How did that happen? Now, I'm still bearish on DJT. I will forever be bearish on DJT. That's fine. Yeah, got that nice big jump up. Been selling off ever since. I did lose my bet. I made a wager that we were going to be back below 18 within 30 days, and I was so close, so close. We got all the way down. What's the low there? We got down to 22. Dang it, $4 away. All right. It was supposed to be 12 shares, but they had fat fingers. Nice try, Les. 12 contracts. I wonder if Harris is going to try to woo Elon, if not win him back, or at least pull him in the middle. What do you say? All's fair in love and politics, love and war. Wouldn't surprise me. I would think personally, as a candidate for a presidential election, you would need someone like Elon Musk to support you. I know some of you don't like Elon Musk. That's fine. But his sway, his pull is so big. He's so influential. You kind of have to have him on your side. So, yeah, it would not surprise me infinite if that happened. So he says, you were able to lock down any crowd puts today? Yes, I did. I sold the 240s out 2 weeks. Hey, nice, Steve. I got the 240s expiring this Friday. Great. I sold the 240s. Oh, I'm doing a quick about face here because I'm running out of time, and we've spent. I got accused of being Trader Trump, and here we've been talking politics for 40 minutes. So my apologies. Again, I do not want to make this a political show, but we all understand it does impact our trade. So let's go look at Crowdstrike. The pain continues for Crowdstrike. I mean, in a bad way. So I did the 240s. And so Steve and I are on the same mindset here, right? We both thought that 240 has a nice little demand zone where it just, well, not as a demand zone, but it had that real big, strong move to the upside out of 240. So I did the 240s. You went 2 weeks. I did just this Friday. The percentage rate of return was pretty good. I sold them for $3. So I made, be a little over 1%. For just a few days, for 4 days, really. They're right near the end of the day today, so I'm fine with that. I don't think I'll get too much damage in the next 4 days. Here is, let me go to Friday's date right here. So basically it has to stay above that bottom dotted line by that vertical line. And I think I'm okay there. We'll see. Collected $3 worth of premium. So even if it gets there, my average price would be $237 on that one. Steve's taking on a little bit more risk. Making a little bit more risk by going out 2 weeks. So you are adding that little element, but I still think you're fine. But there is the 2 week out target. I'll zoom in here a little bit. And do we get there with 240 in 2 weeks? Maybe. I don't know. I didn't think we'd drop this far today. I actually thought we might have a little bit of a rally up today, but boy, it continued on as CrowdStrike still is trying to mend some of those problems that's going on with that software upgrade. Some people are out there saying this is a conspiracy. Did they do this on purpose and to short the markets? And I don't know. Anybody can come up with conspiracy theory about this, but bottom line for me, it's just an opportunity. I think CrowdStrike's probably a pretty decent play to hold on to. I can't see them imploding and going to zero on this. Does it go much further? Maybe. Rob says, just got some more. Summer Olympics in 40. Yes, looking forward to that. I've never done, and unfortunately, guys, I just don't have the time, but I would love to do an in-depth study of what do the markets do during the Olympics, right? I'm assuming it's most likely going to be positive because it seems like during that 2 week window of time for the Olympics, it's like everybody's at peace. It seems like conflict, all the fighting just kind of stops. Like, hey, listen, let's just go compete in some games for a while and really go to the essence of man, which is competition, and do it in a friendly environment. And then we go to war after that. So I'm curious to see the historical numbers on the weeks of Olympic trading, what the performance is, but I just don't have that data set. If anybody knows or has access to it, let me know. Steve says, I'm fine owning at 240. Me too. Let's see. Tom says, CrowdStrike has Microsoft enterprise customers that still ain't going nowhere. Yep. Stock will move up to its old value as the news fades. Correct. And I think it's going to be very similar to what we saw with like Target, right? Target had that horrible news and it was like, oh, I'm never going there again. Well, part of the problem with CrowdStrike is if you're a company using CrowdStrike software and services, you have to change. You're going to have to go and switch to one of the competitors, and it may not just be worth it. It's just too time-consuming, kind of a pain. Maybe you don't get this good enough rate. So my guess is this will probably sell off. If it doesn't bottom by 240, maybe it goes a little bit lower, but I can't see it going, into the 150. I don't think it'll get that low. And then slowly, once it's all resolved and back online, they'll put steps in place and not let this happen again, and hopefully they'll be back towards their highs. But I think that'll take a little time to get back to the 390. But if I get long at 240, I'm not worried about 390. If I get 240, hey, get me out at 270, 280, great. Just start moving. All right, let me finish because we haven't even gotten to the top two yet. I've stopped on Bitcoin. There's the NASDAQ today, 1.46% move up. Just tiptoed across that bottom line of 19,728. We established as kind of that low point from January. Bounced, nice rebound off that one today as the momentum came into the markets. And then Russell, having a beautiful day. I really thought we'd see this drift even lower. I thought this move up in the Russell was just way out of line and didn't make much sense. But hey, 1.65% move up for the Russell today. Personally, I'm leaving it alone, not touching it. Just gonna leave it alone. All right, let's look at your economic calendar. Tomorrow, You have existing home sales. This is an important one. They're expecting home sales to slow down a little bit, but man, remember the 10-year has been falling as well. You would think affordability is getting a little bit better there. Existing home sales happens 30 minutes into the trading session, so the markets will be open at that point. You also have the Richmond Manufacturing Index, and that's it. And then as we talked about just a little bit ago, we do have big-time earnings tomorrow. GE, Tesla, Visa, Google, Alphabet, General Motors, Lockheed Martin, Coca-Cola, Texas Instruments, Healthcare, HCA Healthcare, UPS, Philip Morris, Comcast, Seagate. I mean, this goes on. I'm so out of breath. I can't even say them all. Spotify, Kimberly-Clark. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So there's some big ones. The real exciting one for me is going to be Tesla. Aftermarket close, that should be a really wild one. And you're going to have Tesla and Google. So for those of you who are risk averse, you might want to be flat at the end of the day, particularly for NASDAQ type stuff, because you can expect some big swings out there. All right, Tom says Target has not gotten back to its old highs. It's easy to Walmart. It's easy to Walmart while they're stepping up their game. Yeah, well, you know what, that's funny. I was never a Target person anyway. I thought that they would recover from it. Let's see, how bad have they done? Okay, they're not back at the all-time high, but they've certainly regrouped a lot off those lows. You know, that's a healthy recovery. Not quite what Walmart's been doing, right? And we said that early on, too, with Target. Like, a lot of those people that were so upset about Target are going to move to Walmart. Fine. What about Mr. Softy? That's what Mike McMahon calls it, MSFT. Mr. Softy, well, technically, really not much to speak of here. I would like this to come down into a demand zone, but it hasn't really come into one. I would argue that there's one a little bit lower here, but kind of, you know, I don't see anything that would cause me to want to take a trade other than this thing's in a beautiful uptrend. It's making higher highs, higher lows. The only break of that, it happened back here in May when we broke down below a swing low right around 397. But now, trend is your friend at the bend of the end. Keeps on going. There you go. Need to get those cigarettes. Yeah. No, I developed a little bit of cough over the weekend. No smoking for me, brother. No way. It's funny, I was in Vegas talking to a guy from Australia, and he says it was like $20 a pack of cigarettes in Australia. I was like, man, doesn't that want to make you just stop smoking? Come on, buddy. Mike says, hey, Merlin, I'm thirsty. No. Make another trade on DJT. Not yet. The reason I did the DJT bet was because it just went parabolic. Like, you had this gigantic move up to $77 for really no reason other than Trump saying something positive. Way overdone. That's why I did it. And I still think we're going to end up being lower than 18. You know, I guess the big question would have been, what would have happened if Trump didn't turn his head? Don't want to see that type of thing, particularly as live on TV. But what happened if he didn't turn his head? Then DJT kind of falls apart, right? Your main name and everything, you know, that could easily drop this thing down to very low levels. So I don't know. I think that this is an extremely risky play, whether you're a Trump supporter or not. I still think this is way too dangerous to be trading. You know, DJT, it's just social, Truth Social. I would leave it alone. Let's see what else we got. My machine is always on, so I didn't get any updates when this all happened. The problem was identified. Yeah, it was just a software bug. But a lot of people that got this bug from Crowdstrike, their systems still aren't functioning. They had to like reinstall systems to do that. So that's a big problem. What else do I got? What am I actually? I don't know. It would not bet amiss. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna wrap. I was gonna say I'm gonna wrap up before you guys get a commercial, but lo and behold, you got a commercial. All right, that's gonna do it for me. I would like to do more of a topic that you guys would want to discuss. I'll think about doing an ETF one, right? So I know some people want to do an ETF show. I saw Chio recommend that one or suggest that. That's great as well. We'll try to put one together for this week. If you have a specific show or topic you want me to go over, just email me. It's TraderMerlin@gmail.com on the screen, or go put a comment down below any of the YouTube videos. I see all those comments, and usually we'll chime in on those ones. So put them in there, and I'll custom make some shows for you guys for the remainder of this week. Thank you guys so much. Have a fantastic remainder of your day. I will see you mañana.